Hello, welcome back for another little episode of Lower Lawns. Right? It is early morning. Pulling up on my first property shortly. Just filled up my gas tanks in the truck, and made it here just in time for sunrise. Traffic early in the morning is so much more aggressive than when I normally leave around 8 o'clock. Today I left the house at 7, literally just an hour earlier, and people are so angry on the road in the morning. Crazy people. But I went to 2 different gas stations, and I pulled up and I was like, oh look, it's awfully empty if it's as busy as the roads are. 2 different gas stations had little bags on the handles out of order. Like, what are the odds of that? Like, the day, because normally I would fill up at the end of the night and do it that way, but I ended up using some of my equipment this weekend and went home and just didn't fill up like a normal schedule. So I needed to fill up this morning, and the one morning I do that, every gas station has out of order. Anyway, there was a few things that I filmed last week that there wasn't enough stuff to actually make something out of. And it's there, like I still have it, and what I think I'll do with that stuff is I'll actually put it at the end of this, as just a separate little thing, because it's just a couple of lawns, and frankly it's some of the stuff that you're probably going to see today, just again. I don't know, I may do that, I may not do that. I really haven't thought it through yet. But I kind of want to do this like once a week. I don't want to post like daily or anything like that. And I want it to be vlog style. I don't want it to be like day-to-day type whatever. But last week, or the last video, you saw my BR800 steel. The pull trigger broke in it. I did get that replaced, and whenever I went to fire it back up, for the life of me, I could not fire it up at all. It just would not go. It was pretty bad, and I was pulling it. The thing wouldn't start, and you know what? I threw my hands up and I said, you know what? I've been dealing with this BR800 like slightly breaking for like a year up to that point, because that handle, the trigger was kind of sticking like before it broke, because there was a bend in the line, and eventually it did snap in the video that you saw. Now the thing is, I went and bought an Echo 9010T, which, if you don't know, has been very popular on forums and all that for its power. And dude, I've got to say, I love the thing. But I bought the Echo 9010T, and I went home and I pulled on my old blower because the 9010T doesn't fit in my trailer rack, and I gave the old steel BR800 just one pull, just to see, like, what, like, does it have compression, does it feel? And I swear to you, the thing fired up immediately, perfectly too, by the way. There is one issue where I actually can't turn it off sometimes with the trigger. I have to kind of like wiggle the wire. So what I'm thinking happened is that when I did my repair, my trigger turn off, I think I've got the tension on that wire a little wrong. So But yeah, the BR800 works, and I have a new Echo 9010, and I'm using the Echo 9010 for nothing but leaf cleanups because, dude, when I tell you that thing is a monster and it cuts down on leaf cleanups like crazy, it is. I was stunned at how quick it was. But I'm pulled up here. I've got a lot to do today. It is extremely windy and cold, so I'm going to put my other jacket on top of this one and get to work. Pretty well. And then of course things decline in the spring, so there is that. Want to move on to the next one, knock it out real quick, and then take a nice 5-minute break in between yards, then I've got some very large properties to knock out after that. All right. So, got a handful of lawns done, my little small city properties. Getting in there early in the morning to get in before hours on some of them, so that I'm not, you know, taking over all of their little tiny parking lots with my big truck and trailer. Because I've got now the Silverado with an 8-foot bed, and I've got a 12-foot trailer, and the trailer has the longer tongue on it, the kind of V-shaped tongue portion, which is an extra like 2.5–3 feet or so. So we got a lot of length here, okay, on the setup, and it is hard to fit in some places. And sometimes, like the very first yard that I mowed there, I had to put it off sometimes because for some reason, and this is one of my biggest frustrations in lawn care, is that people park like with one space away. Like, people don't just park next to the next car, to the last car that parked. So these tiny little parking lots where I could have plenty of room to park, you know, it's all blocked because people park, you know, it's like car, empty space, car, empty space, empty space, car, and I can't get my, you know, 22 feet of, you know, equipment into their parking lots while they're open, you know. So I had to come out on a Sunday or super early on Monday and really get in there before they open. Now, some places it's fine, parking issues, you just park on the street, but like that, again, that first one there, both the back and front of it are very busy streets. There's no like real option, and then one side of it there's actually someone's house, so I can't park on like the grass on the other side, and you know, the other opposite side of that house is the drive-through of the business, and there's just nowhere to park, you know. Yeah, I'm hoping eventually I can get things a little bit more tight so that it's not as annoying to have to go early in the morning or whatever. But yeah, we're moving on to the next lawn, which is the next like 3 lawns are pretty big, and they'll probably take me the rest of the day, just because one of them is treated and I kind of have to make sure the clippings are dispersed and all that, and it's cut well, and it's just a big lawn. So between mowing it, trimming it, and today specifically I need to spray their flower beds for weeds and put down some weed prevention product. You know, it's going to take me a little while on that one. The other 2 are pretty straightforward. In fact, I was treating one until this year because I stopped doing lawn treatments. I think I mentioned it in the last video, or maybe it was some of the stuff that I'm not showing from last week, but basically I'm cutting back this year on the number of services, because I mentioned briefly that like some things get ruined by doing them as a business, right? Like treating a lawn, you know, I love to do it and I love the results and I love the payoff, but it's absolutely miserable when you spend all this time and all this money on seed and aeration, and you know, you go in, you kill the weeds, and you're getting comments like, hey, my yard's brown, why is it brown? It's like, because those are weeds and we're about to seed it in a month. We've talked about this. And then you go to seed it and it's like, hey, how often should I water? And then you tell them how often they should water, and they just don't do it. And it's like, hey, if the ground looks dry when it's hot out, just run the sprinkler for a couple hours. You know what I mean? Like, it gets hot, you got to keep it running, but you go out there and it's bone dry. Or you have the opposite problem. You know, the person runs their sprinkler 24/7. I had one customer who literally would run it probably 12 hours a day because they were on a well, and they ran that sucker non-stop. And I would go there to mow it, and first and foremost, the lawn isn't growing because you water it too much. You know, it's waterlogged. And secondly, it's not growing because you washed all your seed down the hill, because you have a constant stream of water going downhill. Third, I can't do it. It's soaking wet. Like, how am I gonna put even my small mower, my 36 inch, is like 700, 800 pounds. Like, you can't put that on a mushy ground. And you know, stuff like that ruined the lawn treatments for me, because I really do enjoy doing that. And I started, you know, I started pulling back on that service by like saying, like, you know, if you don't have irrigation and we can't schedule your waterings, I'm not going to do treatments for you, because I frankly got tired of people not, you know, just not watering, you know. And some of these people have really big yards, and you know, I can try to schedule things around the rain schedule, but that's pretty unreliable as well. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it would rain just like it was supposed to, and sometimes I would go do all this work and it just wouldn't rain for a month. And then sometimes I would have an aerator rented, have a whole big old bag of grass seed. I would drive out there and it would start pouring as I started working. So it's a mess, dude. It is a pain in the butt. And if I was more dedicated to just that service, I think I could be a little bit more lenient, and I think I could be a little bit more on that, and you know, be okay with it. But the fact that mowing and the landscape cleanup stuff is my main thing, it's a pain to go switch out a whole setup. You know, I gotta get the mowers off the trailer, I gotta go get seed, I gotta go get the chemical, you know, order the chemical and wait for it, I gotta go get an aerator, I gotta go get, you know, like, there's so many different swapping out of equipment. Like, offering too many services is such a pain for me personally, especially when you consider that a lot of my yards are still at my old place where I used to live, 30 minutes from home, or 20 minutes from home. I'm still doing a lot of those yards, and it just makes it that much harder to go and constantly switch to your seeding setup and your chemical, you know, spreader setup, basically. So anyway, all that to say, I really cut back this year, and all I'm doing is maintenance services, mowing, putting in mulch or pine straw, trimming hedges, and doing leaves. That is my job this year. Alright, first little section done, easy enough. And now it's time for the big part. But I wanted to show you this because I've not seen this before. But what I've got on my mower is this little phone mount, which is great. And your phone just goes in here and it clips in. So I can watch YouTube videos or play a game or do something to keep me occupied while I'm working through these big old giant lawns. We're back for Wednesday. Now today is kind of an interesting day. It rained all day yesterday, which was Tuesday, and basically the plan today is to do a couple of cleanups where, you know, because it's so wet still, I'm going to work on a few cleanups where, you know, one of them, it is a cleanup on a lawn, but I'm basically just gonna bag it, and it's a small enough lawn that I can mow it in the rain, take the extra time that needs, and I can make it look good, you know what I mean? But it's basically an Airbnb, and you know, it's not had its cleanup from the winter yet, and it's one of those situations where, you know, I messaged them, because I sent everybody a message back in like January or May. Yeah, no, it was January, with, you know, new pricing and, you know, a schedule and all that kind of stuff. And they just, you know, the guy's busy. He's got multiple properties, multiple businesses, and, you know, didn't have a chance to worry about the lawn there. But I'm gonna go clean that up, and if someone's there, I probably won't film that one. I wouldn't want someone filming when I was on vacation, so I'm gonna obviously extend that that respect, right? But other than that, I have a decent sized cleanup. We got 6 crepe myrtles that are insanely overgrown, but they're also planted right under power lines, and the power company is chopping the tops right where the power lines are. They're not chopping them evenly. They're not like actually topping the crepe. They're just going right where the line is. So what I'm going to do is go in and top them, which is not what I normally do, but since the power company is already marring them up and giving them this like reverse mohawk down the middle, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to top it and get it cleaned up right. Contrary to popular belief, topping a crepe myrtle is fine. You can do it. They're very hardy plants, and they're not gonna die. You know, you can cut the thing down to the dirt. It's not gonna die. It's gonna be fine. It's just not best practices, and it's not going to give it the proper vase-like shape that you want from a crepe myrtle. So when you see me doing that, just know I don't normally do it, but there are situations like when they're too close to buildings, or when they're over power lines and the power company's cutting them anyway, but doing it horribly wrong. You know, there are times when you actually do get a pass to go, you know, go ahead and top them and do it right. But yeah, that's my day today, basically. It rained so much yesterday that, I mean, streams were just pouring down all the little channels and the ditches. It looked like little waterfalls everywhere. I may, next time it rains, I'm going to try to get video of that, because it's actually kind of cool. And I'm just now thinking about, you know, all the little streams and stuff. But yeah, it was horrible rain yesterday, and now everything is going to be soaked all day. 4 of the lawns that I need to cut are always waterlogged this time of year. You know, they're puddles, right? So directly after a rain, I can't really mow them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this bigger cleanup today, maybe tomorrow, and then we're going to move into Friday and go mow all of my lawns that I have left, and then sort of whatever is left hanging out there, I'll do it on Saturday if need be. But I don't think I'll need to. But yeah, that's the plan. I'm gonna eat my breakfast I just picked up and get this yard cleaned up. Okay, so here we go. This tree's dropped all these leaves. They're all wet. So I'm gonna rake those up. Same thing on this side, rake it up. And then trim the perimeter and mow it. hill, how tall it is. If we get in there, it's overgrown. I'm making a faux edge, I guess you could say. I haven't done this part yet, but look at how tall it is. And then we'll come over here. Here we go. All done, cleaned up, looking nice. And come around to the front. Hopefully you can hear me over the cars. But we got the hill cleaned up, looking good, looking good. It's not perfect because this is just a quick little kind of a what I would call a budget cleanup. Here's the road or the front, all good to go. And the front was a mess because I had to mow it, blow out the leaves to get them uncompacted. I sprayed the rock bed, but anyway, I had to mow, blow out the leaves that were matted down into the grass, mow it again, and then mow it short for that clean kind of look. All right, we're all locked up, and so now I need to really get home, get my trailer, and get on this other cleanup, because I spent way too much time here, but that rain really packed the leaves down in the grass and made it a lot more difficult. So I spent probably an extra hour here than I wanted to, but I'm gonna go swap out equipment, see about getting this other job done. All right, we got the trailer hooked up now. There's nothing in it, no mowers, because we're gonna be hauling away some debris, but I wanted to show you this because it's dry and warm now, but look at that. It's still running water. They had to cut these grooves in our sidewalk because every winter it would freeze and this whole road would turn into a big sheet of ice. But here's a little flower bed I made here. You can see the tulips are coming in. It's gonna look real nice. And as soon as everything starts blooming, I just put this in, like, I guess it was Friday. I still need to do my pine straw and pull weeds and dead shrubs. But here's my lawn. Got it looking good, except for this little spot here. It gets so much foot traffic, but it's such a small strip of grass, I don't know what to do with it. Like, because I like it, but I don't have a good access point for our backyard. But I also put this in on Friday, which is a little rock garden, because it was making a little trench every time it would rain. And look, dude, it works perfectly. Eventually I'll start filming little rest of the lawn. There's my garden over there. But yeah, it actually all stayed in place really nicely. I'm hoping that if I can get all my work done this week, I can get mulch done here and come around to my backyard and do the same thing in the back, because I didn't get the back finished. But you can see this trenching here, and I don't know why, but that happens even if we have our gutters cleaned out. They're not right now, but for some reason it isn't working like it needs to. This house is an old POS house, you know, but basically I'm going to do all that aside, I'm going to do what I did up front and dig out a little trench area so that all the water can run out and it's away from the house, and then mulch from here on out. But I think it's a nice little look, you know, having a little separation. But look at this. This is my favorite plant right now. Coral bark maple. And in the fall, this gets like a super bright red with this. And the thing about this tree is I planted it in fall because, you know, it's when you're supposed to plant, right? And it sat without leaves all winter long, and I was like, ugh. But like last week, it just exploded with all of this color. And look at that. That thing's gonna look so good here. So they're doing a ton of construction out here, and I just keep getting caution tape. Look at that lawn, how nice. But I keep getting construction trash in every single yard in this area because they're building thousands and thousands and thousands of houses over the last couple of years. What is this? Insulation, ducting, something. But literally every single yard is just full of construction trash, whether it's bags, the plastic binding for like lumber, the tags off the end of lumber, because they're building hundreds of houses a week, no exaggeration, and every house in this area that I mow is just filled with crap. The yard you just saw me on there is actually my fourth lawn of the day. It is Friday. I only got a little bit of that cleanup that I started on Wednesday because I was pretty short on time to begin with. But then I remembered that I had a function that I had to go to for my wife, who won some awards at work. And no way I'm gonna miss that. And there's more important things than filming for this, right? So I got what I could, which is not much at all, but I did get that done, and now we're playing mow day. Yesterday, Thursday, I would have loved to mow a couple of these yards, but again, with the timing of this award ceremony, there was just no chance, right? So today I'm playing catch up. I've done like I say a handful already, but it's the first like really nice day and the pollen has started. One thing about me, I have horrible allergies, and I picked a wonderful career for someone who has debilitating, horrible allergies. So I'm not looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a horrible pollen season, but it feels so good to work outside today, man. Like, the lawns are actually, ambulance. The lawns are actually growing. The sun feels good. I don't have to wear 2 jackets. This morning, oddly enough, it was like 30 degrees, so I did have 2 jackets this morning, but it's feeling good, man. And this year's going great. I got plenty of work. I'm gonna work on a video that sort of talks about changes I've made this year, but it's a little bit too long to put in the middle of this. But I'm feeling really good about this year so far. even though we've had issues with rain and whatnot, that's starting to clear up, so I can actually work 5 days a week for the most part. And yeah, man, things are coming right along, and it's looking like it's gonna be a good year.